Welcome to the Explainer. So, have you ever wondered if there is a complete step-by-step instruction manual for what some ancient traditions call liberation? Well, today, that's exactly what we're going to dig into. We're going to explore a journey laid out in these old texts, starting from what they see as the core problem of just being human, and we'll follow it all the way to the ultimate destination.
You know, this quote really sets the stage for everything we're talking about today. It's a real challenge, right? It's basically saying, how can you possibly pull someone else out of the mud if you're stuck right there in it yourself? You just can't. And that leads us right to the big question, doesn't it? How do you become that person, the one who isn't caught? This is the exact question these teachings claim to answer. So we're going to walk through their answer, piece by piece. All right, let's get into it. Okay, first things first. Before we can even talk about a solution, we've got to get a really clear picture of the problem. And these teachings, well, they don't pull any punches. They start with a pretty blunt diagnosis of what it's like to just be alive. Wow, right? Great, woeful pain. According to this worldview, the default setting for existence is, well, suffering. And we're not just talking about having a bad day or stubbing your toe. This is something much deeper. It's a universal condition that's baked right into the cycle of being born, living, and dying over and over again. And what's so interesting is how specific they get about this. This isn't some vague philosophical idea. They lay it all out. Birth, getting old, dying, yeah, that's suffering. But so is sorrow, being stuck with people you can't stand, being separated from the people you love. Even just that constant feeling of not getting what you want, that's suffering too. It's basically the whole shebang, woven right into the fabric of our experience. Okay, so if that's the problem, this universal suffering, then what's causing it? Why are we stuck? Well, the teachings say it all comes down to one big thing, a massive case of mistaken identity. The word they use for this is avijja, which usually gets translated as ignorance. But hold on, it's not ignorance like not knowing a piece of trivia. It's something way more fundamental. It's like a deep-seated blindness about who we really are. It's this confusion that makes us chase shadows thinking they're the real deal, and it basically splits us right down the middle. Okay, this slide is absolutely crucial. This is where we see that split in action. So the idea is that we basically have two selves. On one side, you've got the soul, or Aten. It's described as this eternal, unchanging observer, the knower, the light itself. And then you have the self we think of as me, our body, our thoughts, our feelings, all the stuff that's constantly changing. This is just a temporary collection of parts. And here's the kicker. It's not the light. It's just the shadow cast by the light. And this quote just hits the nail on the head, right? This is the tragedy of it all. When we grab onto that shadow, that temporary self, and say, this is me, well, we're tying ourselves to its fate. And its fate is to fall apart, to perish. That's what keeps us locked in that painful cycle. I love this metaphor they use, an inverted tree. Just picture it. Our real roots, our true source of being, are up in the eternal. But where do we spend all our time and energy? Down here, grasping at the leaves and branches, all the temporary things of this world. We're literally upside down, mistaking a reflection for the real thing. All right, so if the problem is basically that we're seeing things all wrong, it makes sense that the solution has to be a way to fix our vision, right? A way to get realigned with our true source. And that's exactly what we get. A step-by-step method called the Exalted Eightfold Path. Now, what's really important to get here is that this isn't a belief system. You don't just have to take it on faith. It's laid out as a totally practical, hands-on training. It's something you do. And by doing it, the texts say it gives vision, gives gnosis. It's a path for developing higher wisdom so that you can find your way back to that true self, the soul. So here they are, the 8 steps. And you can see every single one is about perfection. The word here is sama, and it's a bit tricky to translate. It's not just about being right or correct in a moral sense. It's more like being perfectly tuned or aligned. The whole idea is to align every part of yourself, how you see, what you aim for, how you speak, what you do, with this ultimate reality. It's a complete overhaul, really. And this is a fascinating distinction they make. There are basically 2 kinds of paths you can be on. The first is what they call tainted vision. That's, doing good things, accumulating good karma, trying to get a better life next time around. But the exalted path, that's a completely different game. It's not about trying to get a fancier, more comfortable cage for your next life. It's about breaking out of the cage for good.
So what's the end game here? Where does this all lead? What does it actually feel like to finish this journey and get to what they call the further shore?
The goal is called sama perfection. Now, the descriptions get pretty lofty, but think of it like this. If nirvana is the country of the liberated, then sama perfection is like the very air and ground of that country. It's the fundamental substance of that state of total, unshakable fulfillment. It's what the whole path is aiming for. And listen to how it's described from a personal point of view. It's a purification. It's about your own inner light finally being set free. Liberated from what? Well, from all the gunk that was covering it up. Desire, that desperate cling to existence, and of course, that root ignorance that started this whole mess in the first place. So someone who actually walks this path to the end, the state they achieve is just incredible. Birth is finished. The burden is gone. They've become the soul. And get this, they're said to be so transformed that even the highest gods can't even perceive them or figure them out. They're operating on a completely different level of reality. Okay, so let's bring it all home. How do the teachings themselves wrap all this up? What's the big takeaway for this whole journey, from being stuck in the mud to reaching that final shore? You know, the most famous metaphor for this whole process is a simple one: a raft. The path, all these teachings, they aren't meant to be worshipped like an idol. They're a tool. That's it. A tool you build yourself with your own effort for one single purpose: to get you from this side, the shore of suffering, over to the other side, the shore of safety. And this quote just puts a perfect button on it. Once you're on the other side, once you've made it, well, you don't carry the raft around on your back, right? Its job is done. The teachings got you where you needed to go. The work is finished. And so, in the end, we're not left with a dogma to believe in. We're left with these deep, penetrating questions. What am I? Where did I come from? Where am I going? It brings everything full circle, doesn't it? Because asking these very questions is what starts you on the path in the first place. And finding the real answer to them, well, that's what it means to finally arrive.